What up, what up, what up, what up, my people? What's good with you? Gris Chapman here, and we're back with another episode of The Underdog, where we showcase talent and we provide people with an opportunity to be seen and heard. This is a judge-free zone, but you will be judged by the people. So take this journey with me. But before we get into that, I got to bring in my co-host. Shorty Stiletto, where you at?
What up, Gris? Oh.
Here we go.
Oh, Bob, you went old school.
Yeah, let me bump this a little bit. See, we taking it back this episode, y'all. We taking it back a little bit. We're gonna bring in the hip hop historian tonight. We got none other than the legendary DOO WOP in the building. I wish I had some bombs right now. But we get a little more money. We'll add the sound effects.
Can we call him like the mixtape creator, the legend?
Well, you know what? We'll let him say that.
Okay.
We'll let him put the name on it.
Give himself his own flowers.
Yeah. Give himself his own flowers. We do things different here. we let people talk about themselves.
That's what's up.
So what you do today? What was your agenda today?
Today was a good day. I got some writing done. Did some skits, so I feel good about it. Okay. What you been up to?
Today, I did absolutely nothing.
Not everybody gets to do that, especially you. Especially you.
You know what I did today? Honestly, I watched Little House on the Prairie.
Something about old school television that is quite relaxing.
I'm on season 2, episode 4. But you know what? You know what I have a problem with the Little House on the Prairie? Why did Laura have so many adult male friends? Like, are you serious? This girl is like 8 years old and hanging out with an 80-year-old man, cleaning his house. Like, what are you doing? And like, her father and mother is okay with that. Like, are you serious? Is it that we're tainted now?
It could be the way of the world then.
We're tainted now, but we weren't tainted back then.
Right, exactly. Okay. The level of respect for old people, it was a lot different then.
But I just found it so weird. Like 3 consecutive episodes I watched, right? And each episode, it was a different episode, and she was befriending a different old man. Like, dude, you're 70. Like, this dude is 60 years old fishing, and she's over there fishing with him. Like, what? My
goodness. And you got to remember also, like, 70 back then isn't the same as 70 now. So 70 back then was a lot more fragile, so.
Yeah, these dudes is mad old. But we got my man Woppage in the building. What's good? Bring him in, Shani. Bring him in.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm so on time.
You know what? You are maybe the very first, no, second guest that was on time.
Everybody popping, huh, Gris?
Everybody else is late.
We got it popping, huh?
Yes, sir.
That's good. That's good. I'm proud of you, man.
This is my lovely co-host, Shani.
Hi, DOO. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let me turn down the Woppage in the background.
Who's getting our WOP on?
What's going down?
What's good with you, brother?
Chilling. I'm here.
How you feeling, man? How you feeling?
Hey, man, everything's good, man. You know, crazy times we in, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we got a new president now.
Yeah, but you know the whole pandemic and all that. So
yeah,
it's different. You got to adapt. You know what I mean? And it makes you like dig deeper with your hustle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did you fare in the pandemic?
I mean, pretty good, pretty good. You know, the DJ thing is a little tough, obviously, and but now there's different things they're doing. You know, with DJing online, like doing parties online,
Yeah,
stuff like that. But you know, it like I found myself. How can you say it without sounding like an idiot? Like bread was coming in kind of even more after the fact because you started, like I just said, you dig a little deeper. So you start thinking, okay, well, I already made a name for myself, or, you know, I got a brand. Oh, let me make this merch. Let me do these hoodies, or, you know, whatever. So you do a lot of different things, and we're like, yo, I could have did this before.
yeah.
People, even during the pandemic, are still shopping and purchasing things. You know what I mean? Even online.
They are spending that money.
Yeah, so you know, so it's a blessing in disguise, I guess. I don't know. It's a tough year, so it's hard, you know.
Maybe it got us to a point where we're being a little bit more creative. You know, we're not just letting the technology take over. You know what I'm saying? Because we got so used to asking our phone what to do, and you know, listening to what the phone tells us to do, and you know, we walking around in the street looking down at our phone. So little kicking our butt. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now we stuck home, and we got to be creative. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let's go back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? For our listeners who don't know who you are, you know what I'm saying, which is crazy. Let's take it back to Young DOO WOP. Who influenced
Young DOO WOP?
Yeah, let's take it back a little bit. Let's talk about the things that people don't normally talk about. The Young DOO WOP. If you can dust off your memory banks a little bit here. Let's talk about who maybe influenced you at that young age to push you into DJing, or just push you into hip hop in general.
Okay. Well, I'm 50, so I've been there from the start. So I was born in Los Angeles, but I'm New York like to the heart, because at 2 years old, my whole family moved to New York from Los Angeles. Okay. So 78, 79, when, hip hop started, rap is the light. Of course, all of us had the same experience. Everybody, of this age range had that experience where it's like you just fell in love with the culture, fell in love with the music. But I think it was around my 9th birthday that there was a guy on my block that I met, and he was a little older. His name was they called him Shazam, right?
Now this is when you're still in LA? You're still in LA?
No. I came. I only was in LA since I was 2.
Okay.
I'm in the Bronx now.
Okay.
Right in the heart of all that, like the Fordham area, the Grand Concourse. Now this is all for people that don't know. This is the area that all the park jams, the Cold Crush lived right up the block. These are legendary hip hop groups from way back in the days that they were all in this area. So I get to see this. I got a front row seat to all this. And then this guy Shazam that I just spoke about, he taught me how to scratch on my mother's record player. Scratch records.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I was lucky to have parents that spoiled me. So my 9th birthday or my 10th birthday, they bought me like a whole set, a whole equipment. Like, the 2 turntables, a mixer, some records, everything, speakers.
Oh,
and I was
you was balling at that point. That's like a baller move at that age.
So now we talking 1980. So I'm all in. Every day besides school, that's all I was doing, DJing. But around 84, I just lost interest in it, right? Okay. I even gave some of the stuff away and started running the streets, 14, 15 years old. And I would say about 3-4 years later, when Big Daddy Kane came out, Rakim came out, boom, jumped right back in.
Okay.
Now, this is just me DJing, though, like DJing little house parties and, stuff like that. Not talking on the mic, really, and none of that. No mixtape stuff. And then 89 is when I heard Kid Capri. And I heard Kid Capri, all the cars passing by, they were playing Kid Capri tapes. And Now you got to realize that a DJ back then was always in the background, right? The MC was like the star, but he made you feel like he can take control. He could be that guy. Like he doesn't have to have an MC, and that kind of intrigued me. So that's what made me get into the tapes. That's when I became doo wop and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that you don't get enough credit for is being, I don't want to say the creator of the mixtape, but you at least you revolutionized the concept of the mixtape, and you opened the door for the people who came after you. So could you touch on like a little bit on how you started doing the mixtapes and all that?
Well, when I started, they were only a handful. There was Kid Capri, Hollywood, Star Child. It was a handful of dudes, and they kind of all were doing, I don't want to say the same thing because they had their own style on the mic, but playing the same music, right? So you had some R&B, you had some hip hop and reggae, but I kind of wanted to be in my own lane. So what I did, I started rapping in the beginning of my tapes. Like I started like doing an intro. Nobody really had an intro. They would just start the tape off playing music, talking on the mic. But me, I actually wrote a verse and, like almost like created a story for the tape.
You set the tone for it.
So that was one thing that I did. And then you had other people like Ron G. He was the blend guy. He always did blends. SNS always had all exclusives. They always, if you bought my tapes, you knew what you were going to get. You were going to get doo wop rapping in the beginning and such and such. Ron G blended on his tape. So, we created our own lane. And it was only a handful of, later on, late 90s, early 2000s, you had a million guys. But back then, it was only a handful. You know what I mean? So we stood out a little more. We were lucky enough to strike at that time.
Who was the first artist that you chose or asked you or picked or what have you to freestyle on one of your mixtapes?
I would say it was 95. It was Busta Rhymes because I was not aware how the reach. I lost you guys.
I can hear you.
Okay. I was not aware of like the reach, of our tapes, like how far they went. It was more of a local thing for us. Like we were fine with that. We get our local parties around the way, such and such. But one day, Fat Man Scoop, who was at the time the marketing guy for Tommy Boy Records, and he called me. It's this generic call that they do every week to all the DJs, right? So Fat Man Scoop was like, yo, I'm just making sure you got this record and this Naughty by Nature and this record. And, just one of those annoying calls that you get every week from the label. But you answer because you want to keep a good relationship. So he hung up. He said, Busta Rhymes said, what's up, by the way? And that blew my mind because I'm like, wow, like how did this guy even, know me, right? So he got on the phone. He gave me his number. Anytime you need me. And that kind of sparked the idea of, wow, from when mixtape started to now, all the way to 95, you're talking about 6-7 years. There was never like a rapper on the tape also, like a big rapper rapping on the beginning of the tape or somewhere in the tape. It was always, us doing what we do and playing music. So I thought of that. And then it just like, it was a domino effect. I got Raekwon after that. I got Fat Joe. I got all these guys and that created 95 Live, which is probably my biggest tape of all time.
Okay.
So you work with like so many artists, like, like you were saying, Fat Joe and Raekwon and Pun and everybody. Who would you say is like the most like genuine person that you've worked with as far as the artists go?
I think you said his name, Raekwon. Raekwon has to be. He's like a guy you can have a regular conversation with anytime you see him. You just feel it. You know what I mean? You just, you in his presence. Even you know, Method Man. Like these guys are just so genuine, and it's not like they just want to be cool with you because you popping at the time.
Right.
This is what were we at? 20. This is like a 25-year relationship, and I could say a lot of those guys that we were like this when things were really popping, we're still that tight to this day. But Raekwon is at the top of that list.
That's dope.
That's dope.
For sure.
That's dope. So early on, I know you had to deal with the sucker shit. So who was on top of your sucker list when you you know, I gotta start off with that. Yeah, I gotta start off with this.
Explain a little bit. What do you mean?
You know how you know how in the industry, you know, you come in the industry, you're fresh in the industry, and you meet Joe Blow Schmo, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you the world, and then he doesn't pick up the phone no more, or you see him in the club, he's ghosting you. You know, the sucker shit people do in the industry.
I ain't gonna call it sucker shit because I'm still cool with one of these guys, but
so then don't mention him.
When I did, well, I mentioned it. It's not no sucker shit. It was just weird to me because I'm gonna go back to 95 Live, right? When I did that tape, this is who came to do the taping. Mind you, this is no money involved. I didn't have to pay any of these guys. They wanted to be on the tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Q-Tip, Raekwon, Busta Rhymes, M.O.P., Fat Joe, Mobb Deep, A.Z., Keith Murray, Rampage. You know, like these guys were at the top. They had the biggest albums of the time. They all came to the studio and just were like, whatever you need, let's get it done. I didn't expect nothing, but they treated me as an equal. The two guys that came to the studio on some Hollywood shit was the ones I wouldn't expect to. Ill and Al Scratch.
Oh, so those were the divas of the crew.
Yeah, like it was weird to me because I figured the other guys would do that before I met them. You know.
Okay.
In my mind, I thought. But
so what special did they ask for that the other ones didn't ask for?
I don't know. I think it wasn't even Al Scratch. It was the other dude.
the other dude.
I forgot exactly what it was, but it wasn't money or nothing. It was just, you know, where the bottles at. You know what I mean? Like just a little. It was like things I expected from the bigger guys that
And you wanted them to be a little bit more different.
Yeah, Prodigy one time, of course, God bless, but one time he came to studio for like 3 times for me. One time he was like, yo, have some linguine at the studio for me. I do it, but like you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Phrase that a little different.
So can you tell me a little bit about the 22-minute freestyle? How did that come about?
Oh my God. So it started with the Busta story that I said that sparked it. It sparked the idea because nobody ever did it. And it was like I said, I took every hot beat from 95, which was, let's say, one, you know, from that era, Nas, One Love, Shook Ones, and all these beats. And I had each rapper come in the studio. It probably took about 3 weeks to a month to get it done. Because you're dealing with a small studio, Manhattan. You got to, you know, they're doing it for free, so I can't expect them to come as soon as I need them to come. Yeah. But they came through and did their thing. Once everybody laid their vocals, then I started putting the creative part together, which was matching who sounds good after who, what beat goes good after what beat, you know, that type of stuff. You know.
Did you have a list? Did you have your own list of MCs that you just wanted on this?
Oh, I wanted them. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually, you know, getting in touch with Busta the first time gave me almost confidence to now approach certain people. Now I knew Fat Joe for years, so when Busta hit me, I said, wait, let me get some of the woo. But how I'm gonna get the woo? So I hit Fat Joe. Fat Joe was like, yo, I'm there, I'll do it. And here's Raekwon's number, but don't tell him I gave it to you. But when I hit Ray hit me back with no problem. Like, yo, I'm there. And this was when Cuban Links was out. When I met you, Grizz, you know, it was already popping, but this is the point where I didn't know if things was popping like that for me yet. So you got to understand it was tough to make these calls. You know what I mean? Like, didn't know what I was going to get on the other side, on the other end of that line.
Yeah, I know. I had a few of them.
It all worked out. And I did a part 2. It was so, you know, successful. The first one I did a part 2. The part 2 had you know, AZ and Mobb Deep and Smith and Wesson and all these guys. So
okay,
it was historic. It's you know, it's been about 25 years now, but it's always brought up if I run into somebody or a fan or whatever, you know, speaks, they like 95 Live. It's always.
Yeah, I was just playing 95 Live, the second one though.
Yeah. The second one I tried to do R&B beats, so I had like KRS rhyming off of Sugar Free by M2 May. How old are you, Shawnee? How old are you?
I'm 39.
So you remember M2 May and stuff like that, Juicy Fruit and all that? Okay.
Yeah, she right there with us.
Watch your mouth.
So I had KRS on M2 May. I had AZ rhyming over Curious by Midnight Star. You know, it was like I tried to set a different tone on that one, and it worked out.
On the first one, Big L was in the first one, right?
Nah, Big L was on the first. Big L was on that right before he passed away. He was on my tape, 99, beginning of 99.
99.
And when he came to do it, he did it. He did an extra verse that said you could pick the best one or whatever. You could use both. He did it when a tape was done. It's just a customary thing we did back then. When I did a tape and if an artist rapped on it, I would call him when it's done to be like, you want me to drop a couple of CDs off, you know? So I lived at the time 155th and Riverside Drive in Manhattan. He lived on 139th. So you're talking about a 5-minute drive. So I said, I'm about to put the tape out that you rapped on, and I'm going to drop a few off with you. Cool. When I went to drop it off, he was like, yo, you going downtown? I was like, what's up? And he was like, he dropped me off at Rockefeller. No problem. I mean, the dude is there for me. Even if I'm not going downtown, I'm going to go. You know, I'm going to take him. Dropped him off, but on the way there, of course, we talked. And I said, what you going to Rockefeller for? He said, Jay about to sign me. Like, finally. Like, Dame convinced him to sign me. And literally, like, bro, like 2 weeks later, that's when the thing happened with him, when he passed away.
That's crazy, man. The history on that's absolutely bananas, man. Absolutely bananas.
So 25 plus years in the game, you have watched hip hop transition into many eras. Which is your favorite? Was it the 90s, early when Diddy and Jay, all of them had it? Was it down south coming in? Was it the trap music? Which one was your favorite?
I don't dislike any of it, but of course I love that 94 to 98 little
sweet spot.
That little gap. Yeah, that little set right there, like 94 to 98. You talking when Nas dropped, when Biggie dropped, up to the point when DMX came out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I understand the transition. I understand things change, and it's cool. It's cool with me. I mean, it's, you know, it gets creative. And if you listen to some of these, a lot of these records have a lot of samples from back then. Some people don't know that, but they have a lot of those, and it's cool. It's cool that they're, you know, using that, you know.
So what do you think about the current state of hip hop?
Current state of hip hop, I have no problem with. The current state of the radio and the way they push just certain types of music.
Okay.
That's where it gets kind of funky. Hip hop is cool because there's a lot of music out there. A lot of you can whatever you like, you're gonna find. If you like just trap, there's dope trap out there. If you like lyrical, you know, there's hard, there's Griselda guys, you know, there's like a lot of stuff, but it's what they play on the radio, on the major radio stations, that to me is they should be more balanced.
Yeah, definitely should be more balanced. I don't even really listen to the radio no more. I put in my own mixes, and I got your flash drive, and I be in here jamming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I live in the 90s. I rock it like it came out yesterday. So
you've been around a few times. You've been on plenty of tours. What were some of your best tours that you've been on?
Best tours? Well, I was with a rapper. I was with Guru from few months before, you know, he passed away. Like,
Okay.
So, you know, he passed away with 09, I think.
I believe so.
So I ran through 2 passports with Guru, like easy.
Nice.
I mean, I got to Africa with him, and you know, he got there a day before. We went to South Africa. He got there a day before, so I landed a day later, and I got detained for 24 hours at the airport because I didn't have a blank page in my passport. Like they need a whole page to put their, you know, the paperwork.
So now, how does that work?
That was retarded. So they took my passport, and they didn't say like you're arrested. They just said you have to stay here. We have a hotel upstairs. See if they got a room. If they don't, you just got to sit somewhere. We're gonna take your passport, and you have to have somebody come, or we'll take your passport to the embassy tomorrow morning. Because I got there like 6 p.m. their time.
So you messed up. You got there too late.
Right. So I have to wait till the next morning. Google brought the passport back to me. They put mad pages in the middle, like extra pages, blank pages. So it's with him, I gotta say, because it was I never really wanted to DJ for a rapper. Like, I would tour by myself or with Tony Touch. But Guru just, I don't know, the way he came across, we always been cool, so we went on tour, and it was always just easy going. The bread was good, so it was like.
I was trying to remember what tour did I meet you on? Did we do the Nas tour together or the Smoking Grooves?
I didn't go on tour. We just did a few shows with Cannabis, Craig Mack.
Okay.
Cannabis and Craig Mack. I don't know what that was, but we went to Miami, Tampa.
Okay.
Remember we did a little Florida run?
Yeah.
Cannabis on your shoulder.
And I put Cannabis on my shoulders. Yeah. I was sure my mind went blank, and I was like, "Yo, where?"
Because Charles Suit signed me to Charles Suit signed
Crazy
me
World.
to same
Crazy
label,
World.
Right? That same label, Lost Boys and Cannabis, right?
Yeah, Cannabis, A+. They had
A+.
They had a
Lost
few people.
Boys, no?
Lost Boys was there. No, I think
Boys.
Lost Boys are Universal.
Right. So anyway.
And Charles Swoot was their manager, I think. I think that's how.
98, he gave me a solo deal to make an album, but the album never happened. You know what I mean? Like, it was songs being done, but when the higher ups changed, they started getting rid of things. But it was cool because I kept all the music. I was able to keep it and put it out somewhere else.
Yeah, because I think we were still there when Cash Money and all them first started.
Yeah. That was around that time.
Yeah, Cash Money. There's a few other people up there, I believe.
Yep.
And that whole craziness. You know
With Mo, with all, you know what I mean? With all, we traveled deep. With Cannabis was a handful though, man.
Yeah, he was.
I remember when we landed in Tampa. The van picked us up, and then the van said, "We got to wait for Craig Mack." The Cannabis said, "Who?" The Cannabis went like this, and he was acting like he was asleep. He's like, "Yo, WOP, tell Craig Mack I'm asleep." Craig Mack got in the car. Craig Mack was like, he wanted to play new. He was like, "Yo, I want to hear none of that new shit that Craig Mack gonna play. I want to hear the old shit, none of that new shit." He knew Craig Mack like a book, because as soon as Craig got in, he was like, "Yo, WOP, I'm gonna let you hear some new shit right now."
And God bless that. That was a time when I believe he got kicked off the plane. Craig Mack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, no, they kicked the lady off the plane that he was arguing with. They actually took his side. But it was him that started it. I'm not. It's too touchy. You remember what he said, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can't even talk about that. The whole show will get.
Yeah. Definitely.
Wow.
But he told a male flight attendant, sketchy, and they shouldn't have said. Like, I was so embarrassed to be near him. And
I was sitting right across from him.
A passenger tried to defend the flight attendant, and they started arguing, but they threw the lady off.
Yeah, it was a crazy one. It was a crazy one.
Yep.
So with all the touring and visiting all the countries and cities, like all over the world, have you ever visited a country or a city where you were shocked at how much they turned up and knew the words to stuff, even if they didn't speak the language?
Japan. Tokyo, Japan was awesome. It was the first time was 98. and I went there about 3-4 times after that. They have a club that I think it still exists to this day. It's called Club Harlem.
Oh,
Harlem, like 125th, right? So
wow.
they can't speak the language, but they'll sing every word to every song you play. Loud. Like, it was so dope that we made a tape. Actually, it's on the flash drive, Grizz. It says "Doo Wop and Tony Touch live from Tokyo," and you hear the crowd singing every word.
Wow.
Okay, I gotta check that. I know what you're talking about. I never listened to that one. I'll listen to it.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
It sounds like the tunnel, bro. It's crazy.
That's dope. That's
Crazy.
dope.
So that, I mean, he's not gonna book you somewhere unless he knows he's gonna draw and he has, following.
Right.
But
Okay.
that place was the one that stands out for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So out of all the stuff that you've done over the years, what would you say was your proudest hip hop moment that was a pivotal moment that just will always be a staple in hip hop history?
Well, there's a few I remember, but if I gotta narrow it down, I would say
Give me two.
Justo, God bless Justo. He started the mixtape awards, and it became really big. Like, they even had it at the Apollo Theater and all that. I forgot what year he passed away, but it was the first one, and I won most creative, which that's something that I didn't expect, because at that time a lot of people were doing a lot of great things, a lot of mixtape DJs, but it was a good time for me. It was like it defined like all the work I put in.
Okay.
This is just a good memory, like a good thing I remember was when a year after, I think it was Biggie's a year after Biggie passed away, Puffy had like everybody at Club S, not Club SO's, Club Envy in New York. And I mean, I'm talking about both his baby moms was there, his mom was there, Faith, everybody was there. Lil C, Lil Kim, everybody. And he asked me to do that party with, I think, Mr. C and DJ Enough. And I had another party that night, so I had to figure that out. But I got there and I DJ'd second, and Nas and Jay-Z were both there, and that's when the thing was starting. You could tell, if you're in the industry, you knew that Nas, Jay-Z was eventually gonna go at it. Like, certain people didn't know that, but you could hear, the undertones, you could hear the subliminal messages in their raps. They were kind of going at each other for a while before the actual beef started.
Yeah.
And they were both there, but they knew that wasn't the place for it. You understand?
Yeah.
So he stood in his corner, Jay stood in his corner, Nas stood in his corner, and I was DJing, and I even went into a set playing a Nas record, a Jay record, a Nas record, a Jay record. Not trying to start it problem.
Show love.
And on the way out, stopped the music. My boy was behind me, just like you was with Cannabis all the time. I had my boy with me, and he was carrying my crate on his shoulder. Puff was like, give it up for Doo Wop, whatever. And then Jay pulled me to the side and was like, I thought he was going to talk about what I was. Right. He actually said, yo, that verse that you did on such and such, oh my God. This is Jay-Z telling you about a verse.
Yeah.
That's like Jordan telling you nice and ball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that always stands out to me.
That's dope. Yeah. That's dope.
So are there any artists that you've wanted to work with, or did you work with everyone? It sounds like you work with everyone.
Yeah, but I dropped the ball so bad with Biggie and Jay. So probably every rapper from the 90s you can name rapped on my tapes. Okay. And when I mean that, I mean they actually came to the studio or to the crib and rapped on the tape.
Yeah.
Biggie, when Biggie was totally popping. When One More Chance was out, when, you know, Unbelievable was out, I saw him at the Tunnel, but it was a video shoot. So it wasn't noisy or nothing. It wasn't too hectic. It was a video shoot. And I'm trying to get the courage up to go talk to him because he's surrounded by a bunch of people. They're all, you know, doing their fan thing. And I'm like, I don't know. So I walked past him to go to the bathroom. And he said, yo, DOO WOP, when you going to let me rap on one of them tapes? I thought I'd going crazy and shit when he said that. But so I was like, so we talked. He gave me his number. At the time, even though he was popping, he was still living in on St. Mark's in Brooklyn,
Okay.
like with his moms. He was still, I guess he didn't get that big check yet, right? So he gave me his number. I waited like a week trying to be cool, called him, and his mom picked up and she was like, Christopher. And he got on the phone. He was like, yo, we about to do a party together. And it was true. Like, we had a party together in Virginia like a couple weeks after that.
Yeah.
He said, bring your 4-track, which is the device that you use to record vocals. Instead of him coming to the studio, he was like, bring it with you. And when I see you, I'll do the freestyle for your tape. I was like, bet.
Wow.
I get to the club, DJing. He comes up, tells me, yo, my hotel room is such and such. About an hour after you leave here, call me and we'll get it done. All right, cool. I get to my hotel. I get back to the hotel after the club, sit there, and I call him. He said, give me like an hour and a half. I guess he was, you know, some chicks, whatever. I had a little too much at the club that night. Fell out, bro. I woke up at like 10:30 in the morning. He was already on the flight going back home.
Oh no.
So that was that. And then the second time, it wasn't my fault. The second time is when he had the accident that broke his leg. You know, the accident was coming across the bridge?
Yeah.
He was coming to do my tape at the studio.
Oh wow.
He called me and said, yo, we can't make it. Big broke his leg. And I was like, all right, Fees. And I hung up on him. Like, I thought they were playing around. Like, it was a joke. Like, not a joke, but like almost like we ain't gonna go there, you know.
Right. Tell him anything.
Yeah, and then I seen in the paper the next day, like he really had an accident on the bridge, broke his leg. So that was him. That was that. And then Jay, ain't even worth telling the whole story, but I dropped the ball on that. Like, he was gonna come to the studio, but I didn't feel like going to the studio. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like going that day, and I tried to postpone it. And that's when I tried to postpone it. They was like, in my mind, I know they were like, nigga. They ain't even hit me back after that, bro. That's so, two. Never got Nas though, but I never tried. I didn't know the channels to go through to get Nas. So.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
With that. So you coming up on 30 years of being in the game. How does it feel to still be rocking after 30 years?
Well, of course, it's a blessing. It's tough to try to, you know, keep the ears of the people. Not in a DJ sense, because when you do a party, sometimes they don't even know who it is sometimes. So it doesn't matter if you rocking, you rocking. But
yeah, to
be able to still get the love like online from people that's been following you forever and supporting you and, you know, buying the stuff that you put out, and, you know, it's great, bro. It's amazing.
That's what's up. So what's next for DOO WOP?
You know, I'm always trying to stay busy with, you know, put out certain things. Of course, now mixtape's a little different. Like back then, you could put a mixtape out every month. Like now, it's just I put something out special. Like this Old New York joint. I put out an Old New York series that did really well, and it was 3 parts. And what it was, not just old songs. It was like taking songs from the '90s, the vocals, and putting them, you know, making new songs with them, basically. So for instance, I did a California edition, right? Where I had the California Love edition. The reason I did it, even though it's called Old New York, is because the songs I played focused on that time when that whole beef was starting with the East Coast, West Coast. So I would put Tupac over Who Shot Your Beat, Biggie's beat.
Nice.
I would put Mobb Deep over Tupac beat. You know, Redman and Meth over California Love. So it's very creative. as I try to always keep it. And that's some of the things. And then, you know, still busy with the raps. You know, me and Pete Rock got like 7 songs done. We supposed to do a whole album. You know, a few things like that.
I told you, man, I wanted that hat, man, but you don't got no fitteds.
Which one? Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
this
ain't
one
got no.
just came out though. This is my man joint, but he got to fit it on these. If I get it out, you know, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'm a big head. I need a size 8.
Stop.
Yeah, I'm a big head, man. And you gotta send something for the lovely Shawnee. I got you.
I'm gonna get a shirt.
Yeah, you gotta give a little something. So
no doubt.
For the underdog that's sitting at home, right? Who's has a whole bunch of ideas, who might want to get into DJing, you know, who has a written script or constantly getting a door slammed in his face. What advice do you have to give towards them?
Well, they have an advantage that we didn't have. Okay, a few of us made it in the early days, but we didn't have the advantage of social media. We didn't have this. So yeah. They need to keep pushing, but they need to focus on the brand when they promote. In other words, keep it consistent. So not just hit up the DJs, be like, I got this song here, it's dope, play. They need to make it happen for themselves. And I think social media is the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had this back in the days, bro. That's why some people don't know us. They don't know, you know what I mean? Because we didn't have this. We didn't have this luxury of being able to, okay, the making of 95 Live. Imagine if I could have did IG Lives while I was making that. Like, that would have been incredible. I don't even have footage of that. I don't have footage of Keith Murray and Redman in the studio with me. I don't have footage of KRS or us, you know, mixing down the tape. They have it, but they have to recognize that. They have to recognize that it's a luxury, bro.
Yeah, definitely. So tell our listeners where they can find you.
DJ DOO WOP at Gmail, DJ DOO WOP Instagram, DJ DOOWOP. You know, I'm right there.
Yo, WOP, I appreciate you coming on the Underdog, man.
Thank you.
Much love. I thank you for the history lessons. It was dope. Much love. I appreciate it, man, for real.
Anytime.
Definitely.